to upload.
Okay.
Okay. And also, we will be maybe having some questions in the chat, which I also take after the call as a bonus for people that are watching live stream. Okay. Um,
Perfect.
yeah, yeah. No, I'm good. I think I'm good to roll. Are you? I'm just,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
having
Why not?
ready to go. Like we have a couple of hours, but I think we'll see where that takes us. To be honest, so everyone sit back, relax, and enjoy. And welcome, Brendan. Thank you for
Thank you.
coming.
Thank.
That's
Nice
that's
to be here.
such a, I guess not random, but out of blue, I guess, the connection between us. Like I just popped a message on the Slack, not expecting much, to be honest. And there's Brendan. Hey, I can pop in. I can have a conversation.
Yeah. I mean, it's nice to chat to different people, get a different perspective, and it's a fun thing to do. Yeah. To get out there.
I think I look at those podcasts the same way. It's to me, it's just a way to meet great people that know more than I do and to learn from them and simply pass the wisdom on to other people who also want to learn. And that's pretty much all I'm trying to do.
Uh, you, you- I have to tell you that one of my New Year's resolutions, and it's now 18, well, a while ago, but for last year, was to have better conversations.
Hmm.
And I met some, I think it might have been a lockdown, end of lockdown kind of thing. I met some interesting people, had some good chats. And as a result of that, it's just stimulating to start to riff and see where things can go.
How do you search for new connections?
That is an interesting question. I don't know if I'm that good at it, and I'm working on being better at it. I try and look at LinkedIn, but I think LinkedIn is bad.
Hmm.
And I try and look at meetups and things like that. And yeah, I don't know if I meet many interesting people, but I think it's quite interesting just to cold call people and say, hey, you're doing some interesting stuff. Want to have a quick chat?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, people are interested in chatting. If you've got an interesting angle, if you've got something that you want to say, people, yeah, are happy to chat.
Do you find people rather suspicious when you cold approach them and say things like this?
Uh, yes, but I come in with a. I'm not trying to pitch slap someone and give them like, hey, work with me. It's more like this is an. If you want to find out about what somebody's done that's interesting, yeah. I mean, another thing, we have Growth Mentor in common,
Mm-hmm.
and I've just linked up with people on Growth Mentor who are in similar kind of positions to me, different industries,
Mm-hmm.
but related, and just yeah, had some interesting conversations.
I found that the people on Growth Mentor, especially on the mentoring side, not mentees, the mentoring side, they are very much happy to jump into the pool with all of the mentors and just share all they know, um, discuss any experiences, help each other out without expecting anything in return. Like it's
Yeah.
almost altruistic, which is very nice for a change.
Uh, yes, I agree. I agree. I find it a fascinating platform. Um, it's just fun. And it's uh, people tend to be. I hesitate to say hustlers, but they're getting stuff done and they're moving in their own direction, and that's
Hmm.
uh, yeah. They have a similar energy to me, which I like.
Yeah, definitely. If you're on the same wavelength, then it's much easier to connect with the person, right? And this conversation is kind of a proof to how Growth Mentor works. Just for everyone else, I literally dropped one message in the chat. Hey, is anyone up for a discussion about X, Y, and Z? And I had a lineup of guests for the end of the year, which is about 4 months. It's literally one message. So it's that how helpful the community there is. And I
Yeah.
think you can extend this kind of logic to any community, whether that's a LinkedIn group or a Substack, like anywhere, I think if you have something in common with people, that one thing that connects you both, you remove that layer of suspicion and you pierce through it and you get to the real person. And I think that there's beauty in it.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I'll drink to that, even if it's
I'll
only
actually
green
drink
tea.
to that too. I just got water. But yeah, I'll have.
Out of a mason jar. That's very hip.
It's actually from Hard Rock Cafe.
Whew,
Yeah, that's the hippiest you can go. Like
yeah,
honestly. Um,
yeah.
hey, but we meet today to talk a little bit more about website and user research and data, how we can leverage that rather than maybe LinkedIn connections, which are also definitely part of it, right? It has to start somewhere, and that starts with the first human connection. But
Correct.
I think we want to focus on a bit lower in the journey, and I find the whole concept of ideas very interesting. I read a book a while ago on how we create ideas, and one takeaway from that book was you can't force it. And the reason why is because you need to retrospectively connect dots, seemingly unrelated, to make something new. To give you an example to drive it home, taxi company without cars. So stupid, right? You got Uber, right?
Yeah,
Things like
yeah.
this. So you have to go through your life and gather raw materials which don't have anything to do with each other. But as you go through life, you gain experience, you experience new things, you learn new things that become the glue around those raw materials, and something comes out of it. I know ideation is a huge part of your work. You do uh, you do focus on finding challenges that need solving around website conversions, data optimization, anything really that helps businesses to grow, like around products as well. How do you think of ideas? Where do you think they come from, and how we can find more of good ones?
So I'm gonna answer that in two ways. I mean, uh, I think, and I think this is Derek Sivers said something like that. Is that you your idea wellspring or is a muscle that you have to exercise. So
Hmm.
coming up with ideas is an ongoing challenge. If you don't come up with business ideas, it's hard to do. If you constantly have ideas, it's easy. So he recommends, for example, writing down
Hmm.
5 ideas a day or something like that, just so that it's like opening a tap. Um, the first the beginning of stuff is a bit rubbish, but then once it starts to get flowing, uh, yeah, it gets better. Um, but in terms of how I look at ideas and how I look at things around optimization, I'm going to give you a long diatribe about the process, but I think that it's a useful way of looking at things. So
Hmm.
the optimization process on a website is basically to try and find out where people struggle and what motivates them, so that you can uh, mo- use both of those at the same time, and you can remove all the friction and increase the motivation so that they can easily pass through and uh, it's not some weird dark pattern manipulaty kind of thing.
Right.
uh, I mean, we're trying to find the. If you believe you have a great product, and I mean, I think everyone believes they have a great product, or else they wouldn't be trying to
True.
sell it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you have that product aimed at a specific audience, you want to make sure that your product and your presentation of your product is in as nice a form as possible and in as easy to digest a form as possible for that customer. Uh, and so the initial process that I would follow, and
Mm-hmm.
this is more on the B2C side, but it's as applicable from a B2B customer, is to understand this. And there's numerous different forms of data that you can use in order to do this. So I'm gonna think of a quadrant of hold on, I'm gonna draw it. Uh, uh, you got four. No, it's easier just to talk about it. So you've got
Okay.
behavioral on one side. So basically what people do, and on
Mm-hmm.
the other side you've got attitudinal. So what people think, and then you've got quantitative and qualitative.
Mm-hmm.
So between those different aspects, you can plot a lot of different research methods. And if you look at those research methods, they give you a sort of a holistic perspective of what people's of feeling, uh, doing, and a way of understanding them in a quantitative and qualitative method. So, I mean, the things that I would look at are uh, surveys. I mean, surveys are very useful. I like to survey both paying and
Mm-hmm.
prospects of users, and we can dig into that more if you like. I like to conduct interviews with people, so just to understand their motivation. I know it's a trendy buzzword, but jobs to be done and what people are actually trying to achieve with your product is very useful to understand.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I like to look at usability testing. So getting people to just do what they're supposed to do on your website. Jacob Nielsen said you only need 5 people to get 80% of the insights, and I believe that. So what I like to do is uh, get 5 people to go through a website, ask them to, if it's an e-commerce site, for example, buy something, and then I ask them to go do the similar exercise with a competitor, and then ask them to compare and contrast the two things, and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
give some insight into what works. Other things that I like to do, I like to chat to customer service people, or look at customer service logs, because when you look at that, what you understand is that there are frequently asked questions. People are asking the same questions, and uh, if you can pre-answer those questions on the website, then you're much closer to getting people to progress to the next step. I also like to see how customer service people respond to those questions, because they've answered the same question hundreds of times, and they've got a nuance and an understanding of the website and the product and whatever that is helpful to give a perspective. uh, I'm a bit of a quantitative analytics nerd.
Mm-hmm.
So Google Analytics, looking at what are the landing pages on a website, what does user journeys look like, where are people dropping off on the site, how is that segmented between mobile, desktop, app, etc., etc. Um, I like to look at session recordings. So I don't know if you know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you know what I'm talking about when I'm session recording, but I'm going to say
Mm-hmm.
for people who don't know, it's basically like a video of people's progress through through the website that you get recorded. It's like doing an unmoderated usability testing, but without them telling you anything. So you've got to
That's
kind of
right.
go, what the hell are they doing there, and why are they doing that, and not actually get some substantiation behind that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Allied to that, I like to look at heat maps and scroll maps. So where people are clicking on the page, and where they are scrolling to on a page, because from that you can understand, are they clicking on the right things? Are they clicking on things that they shouldn't be clicking on, or is your call to action or your button or whatever not that apparent? And then also, um, is your most important content below the fold or in an area where they're not scrolling? Well, then maybe you need to move that. Other things that I like to look at are single question surveys. So, when you look at a single question survey, what that is that uh, uh, it's a small survey that you just um, pop up where at a specific juncture. So, for example, you could look at it on a homepage and ask people what you're doing uh, what is your intention on the website today, or if they're abandoning a cart, you can ask them why you didn't purchase, or and things like this. And I mean, there's a lot of different ways that you can use all of these, but the thing to me is to then take all of these clues that you have and all of these bits of information, and like a detective, put them all together to try and create a cohesive overview of what's happening on a specific page or what's happening uh, uh, in a specific area, and substantiate that. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna take a side alley with this for just a moment. Where I've been getting more interested is looking at things like Reddit and I know it's a but
I love Reddit,
uh,
by the way. Don't feel ashamed.
yeah,
That's great.
yeah, no, and I think it's super useful. I mean, it's
Yeah.
super helpful. Um, but looking at it and looking at search and looking at
Mm-hmm.
um, what does this tell you about people's perceptions? So I don't know if you know a tool called Gummy Search.
No, I
Um,
don't know.
so if you have a specific area that you're interested in, I'm going to take say pets for example. You use Gummy Search, and Gummy Search will give you an overview of the subreddits that are associated with that. It'll give you an overview of the trending topics within that. It'll give you an overview of the main themes that people are talking about, and you can get an idea of what's trending. And so, in looking at that, you get another perspective of what's going on. The other thing that I like to do with Reddit is if there's a brand that I'm working with or my brand, I'll go into Reddit and I'll scrape it. Or again, let's assume I have this imaginary dog food company that I was talking about. I'll go and look under the R dog food area, and I'll scrape that,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'll go look at YouTube videos or Amazon reviews or like a load of stuff like that. Um, what I like to do then is throw that into an LLM or and just ask things about what are the themes, what are the major questions, what do people wish, what don't they wish, because that can
Mm.
start to unearth pieces that are interesting. I especially like to do this. I mean, Google's Notebook LLM is quite interesting because you can get a specific corpus of stuff that you can just throw in there, and it's exempt from the other things. And it's fun to get a podcast uh, interview of whatever you've put in as that angle. And then the other thing is search. I mean, uh, Google is it's it's just an amazing data set about the human psyche, because it people search for stuff, and you you don't have to that you don't have to wonder what they're thinking about. You can look at Google Insights for search, and you can see, okay, this is trending, this is going down, this is
Yeah.
doing that. You can look at Keyword Planner, and you can
Mm-hmm.
see, okay, well, these are the related things that people are worried about. You can understand volumes, look at the trends, etc., etc. And then I mean, I don't know. I have a plugin called Keywords Everywhere, which works on all of my searches. So whenever I do a search, it's there, and it tells me what the search volume is on that. It tells me what the related terms are. It tells me what people are paying for it. So I have this sort of inbuilt radar that is always telling me how valuable the space is, or something is.
Mm.
And I mean, people. I don't know if you've seen Answer the Public, but it's a similar kind of radial overview
Mm.
of Yeah, I mean, if you put in the term, it'll give you the related terms in specific areas, and that then helps you understand what people's shopping criteria is, what their mind space is when you do this. So I've just blurted out a lot of stuff there. I don't know if you want to stop there, or if you want to talk about how I then distill it, or yeah.
Mm-mm. I think I want to take it back to the top again. So we've been through many interesting tools, approaches, tricks, and even to the detail of a plugin for a browser. But I think I want to keep it for on a high level just for a second.
Sure.
First thing that comes to mind, you mentioned jobs to be done, right? Framework, and that's very trendy lately. And
Yeah,
the basis behind that framework is that you pick a tool for the job. Obviously, I mean that's simple. You okay?
I'm fine. I was just
Oh,
I
you
seem
got
to
it. You got the book.
yeah. Well,
Hey,
there's a book
awesome.
there. Yeah.
Okay, so we are aligned on that. Okay, so when we talk about tools for the job, we already have to have some kind of idea. This is the keyword again of what we want to do. Now, how do you start the ideation process before you jump for any tools? Where does the assumption comes from? What's the challenge that you try to solve? Where is that part in your process?
So I think that process is different uh, based on whatever your project is. So, for example, if I'm doing a consulting project,
Hmm.
um, someone will come to me and they'll have a problem. I mean, I don't get employed on a green fields kind of basis to uh, think about stuff. Uh, in terms of, I will go in with an open mind and
Hmm.
say, okay, this is what you believe the problem is, but then in understanding this whole space of information, uh, we may find that there's a different perspective that people have.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, if I look at so let me take an example.
Sure, go ahead.
I work on or founded a product called Now Novel, which is an online novel writing course.
Hmm.
And uh, how we started up that project, which was 12, 13 years ago now, was that my sister had written and published books in South Africa and the States, and people kept on asking her, "How did you do it? What is the secret? How did you go about doing it?" And we thought that it would be great to help uh, aspiring authors, but we didn't know if it was actually a thing. So, in order to validate that, I created a survey and spoke to some people. I did some Google ads, sent them to a very cheap and easy landing page, gave them an ebook in exchange for doing this, and open-ended questions in UK, Australia, US, South Africa, all came up with the same perspective that uh, people really wanted to write a book, um, but they either didn't know how to start, or if they did know how to start, they didn't know how to sort of build up an outline, didn't know how to proceed with this kernel of an idea that they had.
Hmm.
So uh, in doing that, the idea came from scratching one's own itch, or at least from observation of what happens around,
Hmm.
and then investigating that further and uncovering whether it is a problem that applies to many people.
I love that. So that's exactly how I imagine it. I assume rarely a business hires a consultant to think for them on the business level. They already have diagnosed some kind of high level problem that they need further investigating on. And that's where you come into play. They come to you, look, we think this is the challenge we need to solve. Can you just double check for our sanity and then suggest a solution? That's exactly how we do websites. It's exactly the same. Like so for example, business can find out their clients don't understand what they do, and that's from sales calls or whatever the source of the assumption is. And then we double down on it, and we find a way to explain ourselves, and then measure and test if what we did actually helped to explain what they do. So that's very similar to what you said. um, you enter with some kind of hypothesis already prepared for you, and then you sort of go on the tangent to figure out what's next and how to solve it. Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's a further hypothesis down the line, but there's a big overarching hypothesis, and uh, whether or not that's true remains to be seen. But I think you're
Absolutely.
touching on something that is uh, very interesting and
Hmm.
is somewhat of a stakeholder management. Uh, I
I
hesitate.
hoped you would go there. I'd love.
Well, I
Yeah,
don't know if it's a
stakeholder
challenge.
alignment is huge.
Yeah, yeah, and
Mm.
I am very much data data driven, and I think that I have actually over time
Hmm.
uh, changed my perspective from being data enslaved to data led.
Okay,
Uh,
okay. So you
and
softened up.
yeah, I've softened up, and I'll tell you why.
Sure.
Because uh, and this is very much a stakeholder management, but it's also an efficiency kind of thing.
Hmm.
When you come into an organization, I just think, okay, the data comes to me. I've talked to you about the numerous different strands of stuff that comes at me, and then that allows me to build up a hypothesis and an understanding of what's going on. And I believe myself to be the ambassador of the company, of the client within the organization.
Hmm.
But the problem is, you can be blinded by that uh, and not have the understanding of the company, what the company's strengths are, what the company's strategic direction is, and you can't just transpose what you think is important uh, and try and execute on it, because you're missing out half of the picture about what the company's goals are, how they want to achieve what they're doing, and so it has to be a sort of a melding of the two, and there's a push and pull and an arm wrestling and a discussion process where uh, I mean, it can be difficult, but what you want to do is be have strong opinions loosely held. So yeah, uh, you don't want to get into a fight, but you want to say, look, I'm standing up for this because I've got data to substantiate it. And then they say, okay,
Hmm.
well, I accept that, but and then that's fine. I mean, you're doing you're following the path that you need to, and if it disagrees with a strategic imperative, that's also okay.
I think part of the job as a consultant, like you and me, is being the mediator for the company in a way, because they clearly can't agree internally what to do next. They might have
Yeah,
ideas, but they can't like decide. So they need an external opinion like you to pop in and say this is the right way,
yeah,
and you just have to trust me because that's what you've been paying me for. Like you pay me for being that vote of confidence for you. And one thing I would say to all the clients or businesses who work with consultants like Brendan is that keeping us out of the loop is extremely crippling to our efforts. And I understand you can't have us in every meeting internally. I appreciate you can't CC me in every email thread and conversation on Slack. However, um, the more you feed us in, the better chances are that we make the sense out of it without derailing the whole project. So just being on point. Does that make sense? What I said?
Yeah, of course.
Have you experienced that kind of thing on your end?
Yes, and it's, I mean, uh, the challenge with a consultant is that you have a finite amount of time to employ for the maximum amount of leverage or the maximum amount of impact that you can have on things. So
Yes, correct.
it's it's very hard to understand where the best use of, well, not very hard, but you have to conserve your time to not be stuck in BS meetings and uh, to understand what the levers are. I mean, one thing that I think is crucial for that is a good kickoff. So if you have a comprehensive understanding of what people's strategy is, what their objectives are, how they're hoping to achieve them, etc., and your intake is solid, then that helps in the future maybe to understand how you can support and how best you can support over time.
And that is, in my opinion, that is basically the essence, the core of the ideation phase every time I go with it with a client. Having those stakeholders in the room and having to discuss all those points, trying to sing off the same page, understanding their agendas, their preferences, their motivations, expected outcomes of the project, challenges they see, things that might prevent us from making things happen, learning about all of it as early as possible in the process is extremely beneficial to the output that we get on the other side. And so, if we know the actual challenge that we're solving for, we know potential problems on the way, then we can start ideating solutions that will hit the mark. And I think this is the best way to describe the initial assessment phase. Have you got any maybe workshops or ways to get people in the same room and find those answers?
I mean, I like to start off with a survey sort of process before
Hmm.
before you meet, and then as part of the sales process, you should have some sort of consultative idea of what their problem is, what they're hoping to achieve, and so built up with that, and then I like to start off with a kickoff workshop with a sort of fairly clear overview of. I like to start off with um, uh, sort of a half day workshop where we go into what they've done before, what they've learned, what their objectives are, how, and then take it from there. I mean, I don't think I have a very strict process because everybody's different and everybody's ways of working are different. I am a naturally curious, some people may say nosy kind of person. So once you start having that conversation, it just develops from that. So one
Hmm.
question will lead into another one. And if you understand the structures of what makes the process tick, it 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 kind of flows from that.
I don't
But
think you can be too strict at this stage either, right? It's all about exploration right now. Like if you bound the whole thing within strict rules, you will you might lose out on opportunities that haven't been explored yet. Like if you're right, you will just shut down the conversation, and it's all about conversation right now.
yeah, yes. I mean, the other thing that I think is really important is how can you show value almost immediately? So,
Hmm.
what are the ways that you can do to get to value as quickly as possible? Because in doing so, you build trust, and building trust is a relationship building thing. I mean, I know we are talking to each other from 1,500 kilometers, 15,000 kilometers away from one another
Yeah,
over the screen, but I do believe in the power of pressing the actual flesh rather than the virtual flesh and meeting someone in
Mhm.
person, because I think it just helps. We are human, and that sort of interaction on a personal level helps.
It really does. I see a massive difference between remote workshops and in-person workshops.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
It's crazy, and even though in-person workshops they take more effort,
yeah.
you have to.
I mean, Miro is great, right? You just stick it up on a
It is
board. There's
great, and
templates. You just
absolutely,
make it happen. Yeah,
that's very true. Although when you bring those snacks into the room and you get people going around the round table, it's beautiful. It really is. You finally see
yeah,
people
yeah,
agreeing, slowly agreeing, finding common goal, seeing through each
yeah.
other's eyes. And frankly, I don't know if you see the thing that way, but yes, people hire NerdCap for web design or you to help them with conversion rate optimization. That's the goal. But what they don't realize is that the actual value, I think, that they're getting from all of that is the actual alignment and the actual clarity of the vision, what they want to do. You have no idea how many times we've been through the whole process. We launched the website, so from very first interview to the last drop of code, the entire review was focused on the workshops and how much they enjoyed it. So throughout those 2 3 months of work together, the best part was workshops, which happened at the beginning, and that's only because we ideated, we weeded out issues, we removed obstacles, and everyone saw things the same way. This is beautiful, and people, they don't search stakeholder alignment agency in Google, right? That doesn't
Yeah,
exist. But when they get it, they just might next time.
yeah. No, no, I get that. I get that. Yeah, I mean, stakeholder. That's maybe something you can get the domain for still.
You think? Okay, maybe, yeah. There's a gap in the market.
Well, I don't know. You can get all 4 clicks a year or
True.
off it.
Yeah, but when they happen, they are 100% in the market, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, no, and I think, I mean, again, stakeholder alignment sounds like some nebulous, like, I don't know, business babble.
Hmm.
I mean, you know what I mean? It doesn't sound like it's a useful term or something that you need to do on a regular
Yeah,
basis and make sure that everything is aligned. You're not going to succeed if you don't have everybody on the bus,
absolutely.
because
Yeah.
this one's going to be talking to this one. You're going to get shot down in meetings. You're going to, it's just going to slow things down. So
Hmm.
it, it is so crucial. Um, yeah,
I think in the realm of so let's bring it back to the website, because I think this is the whole point of the conversation, really. Although we need that abstract layer as well on top of that. I think the worst thing you can do is sweep it out, sweep it underneath the carpet. The whole ideation, the whole alignment issue. And if you do, and you jump straight to execution, the building, designing of the website, what you will end up is just butchered messaging, completely broken user journey, and content that doesn't necessarily hit the mark at any stages of the buyer's journey. Because every department that's pulling the string, they will pull those strings in their own direction, and the whole thing won't make any sense. It won't be holistic. So please don't undervalue the power of alignment. Um,
yeah.
have you got
And
maybe?
can
Yeah,
I riff on that for a
yeah,
second?
yeah.
I mean, that goes back to what I was saying before about uh, the difference between data enslaved and data led. That 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 whole stakeholder management, understanding strategy,
Mm,
ensuring that you're following that, just gets people aligned and gets everybody focused on the same agenda, same opportunities. Yeah,
and I also think frankly, it just makes them happy. They go
Yeah,
home and they feel like they've done a good work because they feel like team again, and this is beautiful.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, have so talking about those workshops for a little while? Have you got any well more workshops? Maybe the research phase overall. Have you got any top common issues that people have with websites that they hire you to solve?
I mean, the top common challenge is that I'm not making enough money out of my website.
Okay.
I mean, that's a when I work with so when I work with e-commerce clients, that's the challenge. Make me more money out of my website. I would like to make more money out of my website.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's there in the title, conversion rate optimization. But if you look at it, I mean, there's numerous different names for it. But I mean, from an experimentation perspective, which is growth or product or whatever kind of industry you might want to slot me into, it's the same thing. It's how do we make this experience better for the customer? So if I mean, I'm going to take the Now Novel example again because it's easy. Once you get someone to a landing page, uh, how do you what is your value proposition as succinctly and succinctly messaged and tailored to their requirements?
Mm-hmm.
uh, what is your registration and onboarding, if it's there, or do you do that at a later stage? um, what does your first user experience look like? And this is something that I can talk about till the cows come home, but basically, what does onboarding look like? Because
Mm.
I was recently working on a project. Back in the midst of time, I worked in games, not word and puzzle games, and I was recently working on a mobile game.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the challenges with a mobile game is that your first time user experience and the first 15-20 seconds of someone using your game is so crucial, because if you can't catch them then, they're gone and they're not going to come back. So you have to be, it has to be gripping, it has to get you right in there, it has to, yeah. uh,
I'm glad you mentioned revenue, and I know we kind of laughed at it, but you're right. It all comes down to making money. I mean, I don't like to hide that it's not why we do it. It is literally the reason why we invest to make money. It's called return on investment. But I
yeah.
feel like this term is extremely uh, maybe bloated even. So when you say to someone, "Make me more money," and obviously they hire you to fix their website, there are many ways to make money and many ways to slice the cake. So let me just give you a few examples, and you tell me how you just think about it overall. You can change the intent behind traffic, like drive different types of people to the website that will convert better. And technically, you might not even have to change anything about the website. You just change the people that come to it. You can save money, which effectively means more profit, right? So you can make processes more efficient. You can reduce the volume of support calls with the website. That also makes money in a way, indirectly. Or you can literally increase the number of people that hits the buy button. And probably I can think of 4 more or 5 more. When they say to you, make me more money, which of those they mean most likely? And do you try to change their mind based on some kind of data that you find out later while working with them?
uh, that's easy.
Nice.
I focus, well, for me because it's no, it's easy because where I focus is on on the end part of that, or the last one that you outlined. I am not an acquisition expert. I mean, I have spent my time in getting people to websites and looking at their challenges. I am not looking at changing how who you should be employing and things like that.
Hmm.
My objective is you have these people who come to your website, uh, and I'm going to make more money out of these people than you can currently make out of them. And the awesome thing behind that is that uh, science. Um, so if you look at it, the only way to quantify something is through an experiment. It's a scientific method. I'm not going to go back to the 1700s to go through the process, but we take two different versions of the same page. We track it and we see what happens as a
Hmm.
result of it, and we see which one wins. And the one, if the version that you have wins, well, it's very easy to show that your efforts have not been in vain because you're moving the needle on the specific area. Uh,
Okay.
so I
I
mean,
just
it's easier than most efforts. I mean, I think I can. Uh, I'm going to take the example of a website redesign, and
shoot.
I can imagine it might be harder for you to say, uh, "Well, we did this, and we relaunched a new site, and revenue has gone up," and then people say, "Well, yeah, our competitors did this at this stage, and our SEO dipped afterwards, and there's the elections happening in the US, and you
Hmm.
can't measure like it's just it's quite intangible to try and understand what are the forces that are happening. But when you run an A/B test, when you run a split test, it's happening at exactly the same time. So all of those influences are happening at exactly the same time. You have it split between statistical significance. You have it split between two equal samples, so you've got statistical significance over it. So it's
Hmm.
quite easy to stand up and go, "Hey, th- this change comes from a research background, which led to this insight, which led to this hypothesis,
Yeah.
which was validated using this test, and resulted in this impact." And so if you follow that line, there's a
Yeah.
lot of. If you disagree with one of them, yeah,
That's very interesting. Before we dive into A/B testing and all of that, one question: how do you protect yourself and, by extension, the client from bad investment into your services? And let me clarify what bad investment in your services mean. When they hire you, when they approach a consultant like you, they already have made up their mind their conversion rate isn't enough. What if it is and the problem is elsewhere? And you can't make physically any more people buy from their website.
uh, impossible. I mean, wait. Let me let me take a step back. But
Yeah,
uh, I think that's virtually impossible, and I'll tell you why.
sure.
From a couple of levers. So if you look at Booking.com, Booking.com runs. They've democratized A/B testing across the site. They run hundreds. So
They
so so
do.
any product manager in any different level can run tests. They run
That's actually very correct.
hundreds. Yeah, they run
Hmm.
hundreds of tests a year and have been doing so for the last I don't know, 8, 10 years, 12. So they've been doing it for so long, and have systems and processes and insights and whatever, and they continue rolling on and they continue doing this because uh, as soon as you make something the status quo, I think Steve Jobs said something along the lines of, uh, you can't forecast what people might want, won't want in 10 years' time. But one thing you can be certain of is that they'll always want fast shipping, a good product at a good price.
Right.
I mean, that's obvious, right? So if you continually doing that, I think Steve Jobs also said, because no, wrong one. Why can I not remember his name? The Amazon guy.
Oh, Jeff Bezos.
Jeff Bezos. Sorry, yeah, I'm misattributing bad. I'm saying the quote badly and misattributing it.
That's
But
right.
also
They
what he
probably all
said,
said it anyway. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But what he also said is that the customer constantly is constantly unhappy or consistently unhappy. So think about it. Go back 15 years, or I don't know, yeah, go back 15 years.
Hmm.
If someone said they'd ship something to you and it would cost you £5 and it would take a week, you'd be like, I can't believe it. I don't have to go into a store to get it. Now it's like it has to be delivered for free and within sort of 5 hours. That's sort of a benchmark, and it's going to your requirement and what your satisfaction level continues to get to the status quo, and then the new status quo they continue to develop. So what I'm saying in a roundabout way there is that a test that you do today may not be valid,
Hmm.
or a test that you get a winning result on today may not be valid in a year's time because the customer's changed. Uh, Things have changed in the external environment. What they think of as good is no longer as good as what they thought it was.
Exactly. So that kind of brings the follow-up question: to what extent your recommendations go as far as website optimization? The reason I'm asking this is because you mentioned booking.com, you mentioned the progress of in technology and all the things that are product related like shipping, etc. I mean, the website can only do so much to convert traffic. The rest lies in the business sphere. What
Yeah.
product price is, what product quality is, what's the range of inventory they serve, what's the cost of information to obtain it, the logistics, as you said. Do you ever feel like website can't do anymore and the client has to sort the other stuff out?
So I mean, there's things like a range or stock
Mm-hmm.
availability or things like that which are beyond our capability. I mean, you can do some stuff. If stuff is out of stock, you can ask them to fill in their email for when it gets restocked and things like that. But the business that I'm in is now, if you look at the A/B test is the like pinnacle of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Scientific method, it's all the way down on this end. That your certainty when you do this is that it's 95% or whatever statistical significance that this is going to be correct. When you look on the other side, what I'm trying to do is assume that again you're selling your dog food,
Mm-hmm.
and you are you're bringing out a chicken liver flavor. I mean, I'm just hypothesizing here.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, what you want to do is de-risk that process as much as possible.
Yes.
So this is where the sort of research and other side of the process can step into it. So let me talk about your chicken liver flavor that you're launching.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, what we can do is desk research. So we're talking about um, looking at Reddit, and we can see when we look on the R dog food
Yeah.
subreddit, people are talking about I wish they had other flavors like chicken liver. So that would be okay. Tick,
Mm-hmm.
that's interesting. Or we look on search and we see what people what people are searching for. We conduct interviews about jobs to be done, sort of interviews. Oh, chicken liver. Or I wish my dog had more higher forms of protein, or I don't know what is in chicken liver, the theanine, or I have no idea that
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
for my dog. So what we're doing is we're trying to de-risk that process as much as possible for you, so that before you've started your production line and you have all this chicken liver coming off the bottom of it, and it can potentially be sitting on shelves, is that you have an idea that okay, it's not super risky to do this, and chicken liver is better than swordfish as my next sort of line of dog food to do. I mean, we can go as far as to do a fake doors test. So what you would do there is,
Hmm.
let's assume again you're on your dog food website, and we put a banner that said, uh, "Want to try our awesome new flavor, chicken liver?" And you put a banner up for that.
Hmm.
You see through heat maps, through Google Analytics or whatever, how many people are clicking on that, and then you make then you have an assumption. Okay, so it
Interesting.
seems that people are clicking on this. You also put a little thing over there that says, "Hey, thanks for signing up. This isn't ready as yet, but it's going to be launching soon. Leave your email address. We're going to give you a coupon. We're going to get you sorted
Okay.
out." So everybody's happy for that, and you've got a pre-launch list for when your chicken liver dog food is coming out. But what I'm trying to say about that is that testing is the ideal end product. But what I am more interested in
Hmm.
is, how do I make you more successful? So how do I ensure that the decisions that you're making on a general kind of perspective about new product launches, about new pages, new directions that you're taking, how do we remove as much risk out of that as possible and ensure that we're building the right thing? Because you don't want to spend all of this money in development, and then launch something and you're sending traffic to it and it just isn't working. So you want to remove as much of that risk. And I think research is a great way of doing that. Yeah.
I really like the example of what you did with the banner for the dog food at the top, and then looking through heat maps how engaging it is. That's very interesting because that kind of shifts the mindset from using the website purely for the implementation to using it as the research tool. You can literally use your traffic to feed you back ideas and support decisions, I guess assumptions maybe more of, whenever you try to find out something new. I find the whole concept of de-risking or reducing uncertainty extremely interesting, and experimentation is probably one of my favorite uh, parts to the project. Yes, sure, user experience, coding in the most efficient way, fantastic, but experimentation, the maybe not necessarily source of ideas, but source of solutions that make the decision maker more confident in making decisions.
Yeah.
It's just beautiful. I yeah,
Yeah. I mean, we're just looking for validation. So
essentially, yes.
and again, there's a resource and a cost and a time association. So if you're running an A/B test, you've got to get a design, or get an idea, get a design, get it built, put it QA, etc. Get it,
Yeah.
put it live. It's I mean
Yeah.
it's a process, and then
It is.
analyze the results. So
And
so
it's
so
expensive.
yeah, and yeah, it's expensive, and it takes a while to do. Whereas if you want to say, okay, dog food, oh, I mean, I'm stuck on this bad
That's
example,
good.
but
No, keep it up. Yeah.
uh, 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 we can look at search demand, uh, and we can look at interviews or previous stuff that we've done, and we can isolate and mine stuff, and we can get you feedback by Friday. So
Yeah.
if your
Yeah. It's crazy,
iteration
right? It's
cycle,
just
yeah, if you yeah, the shorter your iteration cycle, the more insight you can get. It just helps. And if you need the so I talked about this research to experimentation.
Mhm.
To me, the more something is a one-way door, and the more expensive the decision is, the more data and the more validation you want to support that decision.
Yes.
Because
Hmm.
if you're going to do this and it's like, if it's wrong, we're going to blow up
Yes.
the website, then we need a lot of data to help support that decision. If we want, if we have less data and we are more likely to um, be able to substantiate it, then it fits in a different place on the continuum.
I think the problem isn't on the extremes. For example, one extreme is we don't know anything. I literally, I'm blank. I don't know. Then whatever I find out helps me, right? Like, I mean,
Yeah,
anything I learn tells me something. I didn't know anything a second ago. Now I know something at least. And
yeah.
then the other side is 100% certainty, which to me is unachievable because the cost of it is just so enormous. No one's going to invest this much money to get it. How do you know when you know enough? Can you tell me? Or how do you think about the concept of just enough information to make good decision? Because you can always try to reach for more data, but how do you know when it's enough so you don't like flip the transaction and start losing instead of making profit?
Uh, so I think that's situation independent. So
Mm-hmm.
what I mean by that is that you're a startup. So I'm a startup with Now Novel. I have a low amount of resources. I have uh, the prospect of death and doom is imminent at any time.
Yeah.
Um, so my decision cycles have to be fast. And so I have to think with insufficient information in order to make a decision. I work for Nike or some large stratified organization.
Mm-hmm.
Nike's a good one, and I'll dip back into that now. But having more information is you need you can't tell the board, hey, I thought it was a cool idea, and these four people in a survey said it made sense, because you're making very big, very weighted discussions and or decisions, and so you need. I mean, I think those are the kind of parameters that you need to take, and as well as the weight of the decision. So how important it is.
Yeah, so that makes total sense. I, I'm just thinking about it as you talk, and I have you ever come across a term like torturing data or data torture?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
so I'm just trying to make sure we don't do that, but at the same time we don't jump to conclusion too soon. Like, so you know what I mean? There's a fine balance.
Yeah.
So that's always the predicament that I have with those kind of projects. But nonetheless, that's why I appreciate decision makers, because they have to live with some kind of uncertainty in their life. They have to be comfortable with uncertainty, right?
Yeah, and there will always be, there will always be uncertainty. And again, this goes back to data led, data enslaved, how you
Exactly.
interpret data.
Yeah.
It's I think there's rubrics and there's ways of looking at things, but I don't think there's like, yeah, it's nicely wrapped up with a bow, and this is the only
Yeah.
way, and this is
True.
the only thing, and
Hmm.
it's going to hold for the future in every eventuality. I mean, uh, who would have predicted COVID and lockdown? I mean, maybe Bill Gates, but
Maybe, yeah. Maybe, yeah.
and maybe
Someone
the guys in the
could have
wait. Well, maybe we can talk about the Wuhan. No,
the
I'm
bats,
joking.
yeah, I know.
Yeah, but I mean, it was a black swan kind of event that just came out of nowhere,
Yeah.
and you, you don't know what impact that might have on your business. I mean, if you look at South Africa,
Hmm.
I think it's global. You see e-commerce adoption, and you see grocery shopping adoption just increase exponentially. I mean, for me, I I was always of the opinion before lockdown that you couldn't order fresh produce online because you have to look at your potato and make sure it's okay, and someone else is not going to give it that same love and attention and
Yeah,
whatever.
I hear myself when you talk. It's fine. Yeah, I did the
Yeah,
same.
yeah, but then after a couple of years of people delivering it to me, I was like, "Phew, okay,
Yeah,
if I can sit at home and do it like this, and I don't have to
exactly.
bother
Oh
to
my
go
god, I
to
love
go to
this.
this."
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm in the
I,
online grocery team as well. Yeah,
yeah,
it's great.
uh, yeah.
Um,
But it takes weird. You, if someone said to you that there'd be a sort of a seismic change in the online grocery market as a result as a result of um, people getting a bad case of flu 5 years ago. It's
yeah,
just you don't understand the first order, second order consequences. It's
yes,
just
it's
difficult,
far
and
too
you can't.
detached. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, Bringing it back to A/B testing, I I would love to hear from you some kind of real life examples. What made a difference for a client? And the question is coming from the point, from the place where people experiment with like meeking. So they would change like the size of a button or maybe its color, and like tell me great news, like what you've done that made a huge difference that potentially, and because it all depends, potentially could just people take and use on their website and see how that fares.
Uh, I'm not going to make it that easy for people because no, and I'm because best practices are
Mhm.
best practices, but they are
In
not
the context.
applicable.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
Hmm.
so
I know.
everything has to be grounded in your user's behavior on your site.
Absolutely.
Um, so
Sorry, that's why
I
I
agree.
hate when people say, "Can you build me a website like Stripe?" It just doesn't work
Yeah,
that way, dude. But
yeah,
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 I'll let you
exactly.
talk. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, and the bigger button, blue, uh, I don't know,
Larger
green
logo.
button,
Yeah.
red. Yeah, I mean those that type of stuff. Uh, yeah, it doesn't have a place. But w- if you have a deep understanding of what people are doing on your website,
Hmm.
then uh, and you look to the principles that I said. So you look to increase the motivators and decrease the areas of friction, then that helps. So I, I mean, if you look at things that I would do, I always look at sign up pages because those are ripe for
Obviously. Yeah.
yeah for challenges. Things I want to do and things that I have changed on areas like that are what are the reasons to believe? How do I increase motivation? So uh, let's talk about value proposition
Hmm.
in a couple of minutes time. But um, are there third party recommendations? As the New York Times said something about you. Reviews seem to work less well than they have in the past, but reviews have worked. If you look at the user interface, are there is there anything that people are struggling with in this area?
Hmm.
So where are people clicking? And then, I mean, one of the things that I like to do with it is use a tool like Hotjar or something like that
Hmm.
to say, if you're not going to sign up today, can you tell us why not? And that gives you some idea.
Oh,
Oh, I
that's
think
such a
it's going to
good
cost
one.
me money. Oh, you're going to spam me, whatever. And then you can counter those objections beforehand. Free to sign
Mm.
up. Um, we'll email you once, and that's all. I mean, those are, but it's understanding the context specific. Yes, areas that people have. I will answer your question without giving a specific answer
And I
because
respect you for that more.
thank
Because
you.
as you said, like it all depends. and I hate when people act like all definitive on LinkedIn, saying this is what you have to do. It will fix your life. No, it won't.
Yeah,
Right?
no. There's a, yeah, and what works for one person
Exactly.
may not work for another because their audience is different to your audience. But what is interesting to me, and something I advise everybody to do, is on the this is the magic question on the either sales confirmation page or the
Hmm.
registration confirmation page or whatever. I ask people, what's the one thing that nearly made you not purchase, sign up, whatever today?
Oh.
And that's
Hmm.
another hot jar kind of thing. So what's interesting with that is that you get the response of the people who have gone through the struggle. So their motivation was high. They've actually done the thing
Hmm.
that you want them to do. But there's always going to be something on your website. There's always going to there's no site that's created perfect. So you're going to say they'll say your shipping was too much. I was unsure if this was a good fit for me, or I mean, who
Yeah,
knows
many.
what their challenges are. But what you want to do then is you then collate your responses. You can use the magic of AI to put them into some thematic kind of understanding, and then you want to address that at some stage in the process. So, I mean, we've talked about this before, but what you really want to do is when you're optimizing a website, you're not actually optimizing a website. What you're doing is trying to optimize someone's thought patterns when they are interacting with a website. So uh, I'm looking at your site.
Hmm.
How I interpret the website is different to actually how I'm perceiving it. So you want to try and understand what their challenges are through that, and uh, optimize that more than just the website. I look like I'm making you perplexed.
No, 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 no. You are making me think, and which is exactly what I want. So if I get you right, you want to make the website match people's expectations, not the other way around. So the website should be there when they need it, rather than user should meet the website where it is.
Exactly, yes, but the questions that so if I'm on a website, I, I I'm looking at something and I'm interpreting it and I'm saying, okay, uh, this is my I'm going to go back to the classic uh,
The dog food.
chicken liver dog
Oh,
food.
go for it.
But if you're looking at the chicken liver dog food, you
Yeah.
they're thinking, will my dog like this? Is it full of rubbish? Is it I don't know, organic? Is it kind to chickens? Whatever you want to understand all of the questions that someone has. So and you want to present that in a manner that I'm having this purchase decision in my mind when I'm
Hmm.
looking at the website, and the website is just a vehicle to try and communicate that. So you're looking at the hierarchy of those kind of messages and seeing how you can communicate them.
So you
Uh,
almost want to be one step ahead of the user.
yeah, but if you've gone through this audit and this understanding of uh, the customer journey and people's interaction with all the different pages on your website, you should be ahead of them because you're ahead of what other people like them have perceived in the past. So
Huh. Okay. That
I,
makes
I
sense.
mean, yeah, you're optimizing the website for the average visitor, and the average visitor should be visiting.
That's correct. It's at the end of the day, website is the product for the user.
Yeah.
So should be made with the user in mind. I mean, that's simple. I like how you started your, I guess, target list of things to optimize on the website with the sign up, and you then sort of pedaled back to value proposition and then other struggling areas less defined than sign up, obviously. So do I understand it right that you always go for best bets first? So if someone reached sign up, it's safe to assume the journey worked for them, and all they need is this like final tweak in the journey to make them buy. And then when you have those users sorted, you sort of zoom out and search for other areas while the first one is already working for the business. Is that how you think about zooming in, zooming out, fine tuning, and the whole landscape?
Somewhat like that. So it's a bit like a triage in a hospital. So there's some people on red, some people on orange, some people on green.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Uh, what I want to look at is two things. One, where am I leaking money? And two, how much evidence do I have for something being a problem?
Hmm.
Uh, so if everybody says, so let's take the sign up page example. If I look at Google Analytics, everybody's exiting from that page. I run usability testing. People say, I'm never going to sign up on this page. Single question surveys say, your sign up sucks. Whatever. You've got
Yeah, yeah.
you've got a load of data that supports it, and you know that if they were to do that, if you look at your analytics, that you would it would be worth $10 million to you. Then that's where so
That's what you do.
you focus on the mixture of those two,
Mm-hmm.
of where the money is and what the and where the pain is, um, and look at how you can optimize those two things.
I appreciate the color thingy, red, orange, green. That makes
Yeah.
sense. I think. I mean, let's try imagine the buyer's. I mean, not buyer's journey, maybe user journey on the website, because buyer's journey is on the business level more of. So user journey, it starts at an entry point, which is probably homepage or some kind of PPC page, maybe, right? And then it goes all the way to the checkout, to the sign up page. So if you see all the drop offs, which is probably never the case, like it's always kind of spread across the funnel, but if most of the drop offs happen on the sign up page, essentially your job is easier than had it happen earlier, right? Because there's less variance on the way that might affect the buying decision. Is that
Yes.
how one can think about this?
I mean, so if you're looking at it from an e-commerce perspective,
Mm-hmm.
uh, the general perspective is that you'll see a lot of drop off on the product detail page. Yeah, I mean that's where you see, and then in the funnel. But once people have gone and from the cart,
Yeah.
once people have gone from the cart to progress into sign up and log in and purchase and whatever, they've got a reasonable amount of motivation. You're not going to once you've left the cart, you kind of want to purchase. I mean, you'll still see people
True.
drop off there, but
You
if
might
you've
want
made
to
it
see
that
if
far,
honey discount works, but
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, you're pretty focused, but it's actually finding. So it's when you look at the product, is this blue shirt what I'm looking for? Is it the right price? Can I get it by
The
Friday?
reviews,
Are they
right?
going to charge?
Mm.
Yeah, or how much are they going to charge me? There's just what's the size and fit. I mean, there's numerous different reasons why you're not going to buy something.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you're in the cart, it's like, can I get it somewhere else, or what's my shipping? And I mean, yeah, it's
That's great. No, I see the thing the same way. Uh, how do you approach A/B testing when you don't have traffic? I mean, it's close to zero at least. What do you work with when you have low data in terms of website traffic? Do you
we
just
we,
do
we,
big?
we go we go back to my parameter over here
Okay.
of research to A/B testing. and you make educated guesses
Okay,
because
because you have less to
well,
lose, I
there's
guess.
you have less to lose, or you use elements that are further upstream of that. So, for example, I'm going to take the e-commerce example again.
Hmm.
Um, you want to look at people who are buying a product. Now, if they add to cart on a product page, that's a pretty good signal that they're looking to purchase something. So you can use that because there's going to be more add to carts than there are people who are going to go all the way through.
Hmm.
So you can look for leading indicators that would drive you or make you assume that something is going to be a better experience. Yeah, or else use other data sources to try and substantiate what you're looking for.
This reminds me a bit of the case study that we did. Look, I don't work with e-commerce, but I had a pleasure to work with literally one client, e-commerce client, on conversion rate optimization, and they were selling old buses and trains negatives. Like you could buy a picture of a tram from Venezuela somewhere, like whatever, literally taken out that taken there, right there, and they would just print it out and send it to you. Uh, huge library of transport thingies. Uh, Interesting business, but it wasn't me, on me to judge. I was there to help them sell more. And to obviously, not to my surprise, most of the clients were elderly people, and elderly people have grandkids. And so when I ask them at the cart stage or checkout stage, what stops you from converting, like from buying now, we would get answers like, I was distracted. Like, my grandkid wanted something from me and I forgot. Simple as that. So what we did, we just implemented abandoned cart reminder, and that solved most of the problems. It's going back to one question, the power of one question that you left us with just a few minutes ago. It's sometimes that simple. You just ask the question, you get the answer, you propose a solution, and if the solution is right, it will just work out. So I really can't oversell, I guess, the idea of researching, asking, talking to people, customer feedback. This is all great. This is all the foundation of a good conversion rate optimization. So um, I think we,
And
yeah,
I would go broader than that. I think it's uh, uh, product management on the whole. It helps in understanding what people's challenges are and understanding where what they value helps you develop the right product and helps you get
mm,
insight into what to build. So I think it's a foundation of product management on the whole. But to go back to the, I think, um, probably incorrect quote from Henry Ford about building a faster car, about building a
mm,
faster horse,
mm,
is that if people tell you they want something, they don't necessarily know what they want or what can be built. So it's not up to them to dictate what you should build and how you should change things.
correct.
It's up to you to interpret the customer feedback in the context of your business and the market and modify your product accordingly. So there is a nuance to it in that it's not a customer feedback is not a one to one. They don't speak directly into your product roadmap and you build exactly
Yes,
what they
there's
say.
filter. Yes.
Yeah, there's interpretation and
Hmm.
you have to understand it. I mean, it seems like we've only ever been talking about data led versus data enslaved in this chat, but I think it's another sort of perspective on that.
Yeah, what you want from customer feedback is essentially you need to read between the lines to find the pain they're describing, and then it's on you as an
Yeah.
inventor to do something about it. And I think that's where businesses can go wrong. They just take the feedback literally, uh, when it it's just not. the right approach, because you might get burned very easily on that. So listen to customers, absolutely. There should be the primary source of feedback, I guess, right? Just listen to them, what they say, what they mean, what they think, but interpret that first. Try to make the sense out of it on your own. That'd be my advice. Look, we've been going on for about 90 minutes right now. uh, I only want to pick your brain about one more thing. Could you speak a little bit to value proposition? How do you look at value proposition in terms of conversion rate optimization? The reason for the question is because it goes back to brand positioning. It goes back to brand voice guidelines. It probably stretches across multiple departments, and probably the value proposition that's right there on the website, it has been achieved through pain and suffering already. So I can
Yeah.
kind of imagine why businesses would be reluctant to change anything about it. Just talk to me about it in broad terms, and I can follow up if I need anything.
Sure. So my background is predominantly B2C. So I think B2B, you're talking about RCPs and you're talking about
Yes, profiles, all of that crazy. Yeah.
different kind of profiles and different levels of sign off and different levels of who is the buyer and who's
Yeah.
but I think generally you can think about them in a similar way. So in my way of defining value proposition is in the mind of your ideal customer, how are you differentiated from your competitors? So what is your sort of secret sauce in terms of uh, your RCP in
Mm-hmm.
terms of how you're different? And the approach that I use to understand this is uh, I've a fairly quick and dirty way of doing it.
You
So
do? Okay,
when
shoot.
uh, when you look at interviews and chatting to your customers, I just like to keep my ears open and kind of prod and see what comes out of that. And then when I'm undertaking surveys, what I like to do is try and understand uh, what the shopping criteria is of, or the buying criteria is of customers and prospects. So um, I'm going to take what's your shipping process, returns, quality, um, price. There's all of these kind of things that people might have,
Mm-hmm.
but what are the key and most important attributes for them when shopping? And then I also like to, in surveys, understand what my competitive uh, framework and overview might look like. So, who do my competitors? Sorry, who do my customers think that my competitors are? Because who we think our competitors are, might not actually be who. I mean, if you look at B2B products, your most likely competitor is a Google Sheet. Um, I mean, if just, I mean, that's how people just do stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then I just like to create a graph of once I've evaluated my competitors and I've evaluated myself along these areas of what customers find are important in terms of how they differentiate themselves. So um, let's say it's shipping, quality, and price. I like to look at all of the main customer touch points and see how my competitors are communicating. So look at social media, look at how they advertise themselves on brand searches, look at what the homepage looks like. Are they talking about these key areas that customers care about? I mean, it depends. If you're Coca-Cola, people just buy Coke because Coke is Coke.
Mm-hmm.
The advertising is not going to make a difference. But
Mm-hmm.
if you're in a more competitive market or smaller brand, are you touching and talking about the areas that are important to customers? And my ideal scenario is that I have a matrix of uh, competitors and ways people shop. And I like to find a gap that is important to customers and nobody's talking about, because that gives me a differentiating attribute that I can use to communicate um, when I'm looking at uh, homepage messaging or sign up page messaging or something,
Mm-hmm.
because I know that it's a motivator. Another tip that I find useful here is that if you can work with the paid acquisition team and you've got a couple of statements that you think are important for leverage. So
Mm.
again, quality, um, price, and shipping. When you look at those messages and you put them into your Google ad messaging, your text messaging, what's your click-through rate on them? Because whatever your click-through rate is on one of those messages, the higher click-through rate means that it's resonating more effectively with customers. So you can use that to as a sort of proxy for how it should work
Yeah,
on the website.
that's actually a very good idea. So effectively use PPC for testing in a way.
Yeah, for validating, for
Wow.
testing.
And it's actually not that expensive, right? I mean, if you just keep it running for a
No,
while, the click can be very low cost.
yeah, and I mean it's interesting to look at it on brand terms also, which are super low price normally because
Oh
your
yeah,
relevancy your relevancy is super high, but
absolutely.
it's people who are searching for your brand. Well, that's great because they are the Uber customer, and if they are uh, very focused on shipping or something like that, then you know, okay, this is a clue. Maybe I should be messaging this more effectively on my homepage. Maybe I should be doing it more in whatever email, outreach, social, who knows. But homepage is always a good one.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that I would say about value proposition is that, well, two things. One, if you
Mm-hmm.
get it right and
Mm-hmm.
resonate, uh, it makes a very big difference.
So you will
So
know. You'll know when you get it right.
yeah, it strikes a chord with people. I find it's an iterative process. So you
Absolutely.
don't you don't. It's not something you get right immediately. It's a sort of a okay. They responded differently to that one, and we had these two messages, and maybe that's a bit of this one and a bit of that one, and we get this feedback. So it's an iterative process in order to get there, but useful.
To me, it's just fascinating the way you describe. Look, I just said value proposition. That was the phrase, and you went on a tangent about messaging, product, market research, copywriting, competitor analysis, PPC. You know where I'm going with this. It's just such
Yeah,
a complicated landscape. It's it's just almost impossible to do it right the first time, and iteration is just literally the only way to drive it home, I think. And to me, if we go back to the spectrum of the scope that conversion rate optimization is required on, we have the sign up page, right, which is just probably form field or some kind of like little tweak. And then the other side, we actually have value proposition, which is very high level issue that trickles down throughout the entire buyer's journey. So it's almost reasonable to think that solving value proposition problem will require many other tools and many other layers to feed into it. So it's
yeah.
to me it's just
I mean,
mind
so
blowing.
sorry.
I was just it's to me it's just mind blowing, and I'm not surprised that people hire you to fix it because you're like a cheat code, because you pop in, you know exactly what to do, where to touch, where to push, where to pull to sort it out. And if they had to figure it out themselves, it would take them ages. And imagine stakeholder alignment and around that little issue, just crazy. Just
Yeah. Stakeholder alignment around that is tough. I
yeah.
mean, so my experience in working with B2B clients is I'm not sure if you've ever used a tool called Winter,
Absolutely.
WYNTER.
Oh, I love this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, that's great for that for this kind of research in terms of, okay, we got a quick validation on what we're doing. Yeah,
Yeah, every time we get like a strategy call with a prospect that is qualified for our services, we send them like a freebie from winter.com. We just find a target audience on winter.com. We ask them to preview prospects website and we send them a link so that people at least have something to make a decision if this is the really the investment they want to make. And for us it's also kind of like a trust but verify step to qualifying a prospect, because we might hear from the reviewer that they understand everything, it's all good, and the problem is on like, I don't like the product. I'm like, okay, I can't fix this, you have to fix this,
yeah,
and that I
yeah,
just saved you money. So yeah, we always do that. And winter.com, it's spelled with Y instead of I,
yeah.
WY enter.com. So very good platform, highly recommend, and I'm glad to hear you using that. You also mentioned Hotjar on the way. Do you maybe use Clarity at all from Microsoft?
Yeah, yeah, I love it.
I
I
love it
mean,
because it's free. My favorite
yeah,
price.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I love it because it's free, and I also love it because it works on apps also, as well
It
as
does?
yeah, yeah.
Whoa.
Um, it used to only be Android, but they've just released, or this year, they've released an iOS option. So
Oh.
you can get that. It's a bit more fiddly to set up, but I mean, you can get insights on apps, which is super useful.
Yeah, I'm definitely watching everyone reviewing our website on Clarity. Every morning is like, okay, there we go, let's go for it. Quick coffee sip and then 10 sessions. So yeah,
Yeah.
every time. It's very fascinating.
I mean, I can't remember if this is Hotjar or Clarity, but I like to watch things that have a rage click associated with them.
Oh,
Uh,
when they actually get frustrated, that's what you're going
yeah, it's
for
like
the
they're
emotion.
mashing the
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. That's one way to find out. Yeah, for sure. Oh,
Well, I
that's
mean,
awesome.
I mean, you don't want. Look, your dog or your kid can give you a hug. You want people to give you solid feedback. That you want them to tell you that things suck, so that
Yeah.
you can improve it.
Yeah, and the sooner they tell you, the better, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Look, it's been such a pleasure. I really enjoyed the talk so much.
Me
Honestly,
too.
I love the topic of research, experimentation, feedback, all of that. I could talk about it ages. Especially, I mentioned to you, I read the book from Douglas Hubbard. Yes, measuring anything intangible. So powerful, and I really thoroughly enjoyed hearing your side of the coin. And so, is there anything you want to tell the listeners? Anything you want to share with us? Like anything you've been working on lately that we can, find out more about you, where to find you. If you have any questions, just go for it.
I'm always interested in people's questions and perspectives. Like I said, I am on Growth Mentor. So if you want to schedule a call, free call, ask Thomas or myself.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. We'll include the referral link in the description.
Yeah, you can give us a shout, or you can set up a call. I'm always interested in hearing about people's businesses.
Hmm.
If you have problems you'd like some assistance with, also interested to work on that, brendanmcnulty.com.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, link up with me on LinkedIn. Always
Great.
keen to meet people and take it from there.
Absolutely. I mean, I visited your website obviously, and it's such a well written website. Like it's so concise, on point, and I mean, it helped me prepare to the conversation, and that says a lot. It's really really good one. So go ahead and visit the website, guys, and find Brendan there and on LinkedIn. And I guess that's where we're gonna end up. So again, Brendan, thank you so much. Really mean it. Thank you for the conversation.
Thanks. It was super fun.
Nice, nice. Look, I'm just gonna take a look if we have any questions in the chat. Are you okay, by
Right?
the way? How was the conversation? Are you good?
Yeah, fabulous. Yeah, it was fun.
Okay. Sorry. Sometimes I really like to, go for hypotheticals or really drill down on some stuff, but I never mean to put you on the spot or anything. It's just literally curiosity.
I don't think I was put too nastily on the spot anywhere, so I hope it
Okay.
didn't
Well,
seem that way.
okay. Good. 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 Let me see. Studio chat. No, I don't think we have any questions. I mean, LinkedIn is terrible at reporting those. So what I would suggest is when we finish and they stop processing the live stream, we go back to the post which announced the stream, and there will be comments, and we can then engage and answer if there's anything. Okay.
Perfect.
Right. So I will stop the recording. Please stay with me in the room for a second. And for
Yeah,
those
no, no. I
watching,
remember
thank
you
you so
said.
much. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I'll see you in the next one. Thanks. All right, we're offline. And I'm just checking files.